Hello students, in today's presentation we are going to understand the concept of tuples in Python. So let us understand what we mean by tuple with a definition. So a tuple is a sequence of values much like a list. So like a list, tuple also consists of sequence of values. The values stored in a tuple can be of any type. Okay, so you can add any type of element in a tuple and they are indexed by integers. So here also you can access the individual elements inside a tuple using a index value. The important difference is that tuples are immutable, like it is an opposite of list. So lists are mutable, that means we can modify or change the element that are present inside a list, whereas in tuple we call it as an immutable. Okay, so tuples are also comparable and hashable, so we can sort the list of them and use the tuples as key values in Python dictionaries. Okay, so you can use tuples in dictionaries also. So syntactically, if you see, a tuple is a comma separated list of values. So here is the syntax of how you can add the elements in a tuple. So you can see the elements in a tuple are comma separated. Okay, so a bracket is an optional part, but it is a good practice to have a bracket and add the element inside it. Okay, so although it is not necessary, it is a comma to enclose tuples in parenthesis to help us quickly identify tuples when we look at the Python code. So it's a common practice to have a bracket so that we can access the elements, or we can say that these are the elements that are present inside a tuple. So to create a tuple with a single element, you have to include a final comma. So whenever you are adding a single element to a tuple, okay, so you need to specify a comma after that particular tuple. If you don't specify that, okay, if I don't, okay, if I say that, if I miss out a comma while adding an element inside a tuple, Python treats that element as an expression with a string in parenthesis that evaluates to a string. So it will take that element that you have entered as a string, not as a tuple. So let us demonstrate with an example. So you can see here I have the tuples. Okay, this is how we create a tuple. So tuples are created with the elements A, B, C, D and E. Okay, now I want to add a single element to a tuple, so I create tuple T1. Okay, and I paste it. I have created a tuple T1. Okay, and I am adding a single element to it, and while adding a single element it is necessary to specify a comma. So when I say type T1, I want to see what kind of this variable T1 is, then what type of T1 variable T1 is. So it will say this T1 belongs to the class tuple. Okay, in case if I don't specify a comma while adding a single element to a tuple, so let us see what the results might be. Okay, so here I will just paste and see. Okay, it is showing a class tuple. If the argument is a sequence, okay, string list or a tuple, the result of the call to tuple is a tuple with the elements of a sequence. Okay, so here you have one more thing. I say paste. Now see what the output will be. So you can see if the argument is a sequence, okay, sequence of string, or it can be a list or a tuple. Okay, here it is a sequence of strings. The result of the call to tuple is a tuple with elements of the sequence. Okay, here you can see a tuple is a elements of sequence. Fine. So here if you have thing. Okay, so another way to construct a tuple is to use a built-in function tuple with no argument. So it will create an empty tuple. So whenever I want to create a tuple, you can use an empty you can use a built-in function called as tuple, and it will create you an empty tuple for it. Okay, so as I told you, if the argument is a sequence like strings, list, or a tuple itself, the result of the call to tuple is a tuple with elements of a sequence. Fine. So you can see here, I have entered the element as a string sequence of characters. It's a string. So it will result, the result of the call to a tuple is a tuple with the elements of sequence. Because tuple is the name of a constructor, you should avoid this using a variable name. So you cannot use tuple as a variable name. Why? Because it acts as a constructor. So the most list operators also works on tuples. Okay, the bracket operators index as an element, so I can access the bracket operator can also be used to access the individual elements inside a tuple. So here when you can see, when I say okay, so here when I print it, it will display all the elements that are a part of the tuple. But if I want to access the individual elements, okay, how do I do that? I specify the index value, and it will return me the element present at that particular index value. Similarly, I can use the slice operator. Okay, the slice operator that selects the range of the elements. So the same thing what we have practiced using the list can be used here. So here what will happen? Inside the tuple, it will start from 1 to 2. So it will print the elements that are falling within the range 1 to 3. So here you can see one index value 1 it is B, index value 2 it is C. So B and C are the elements that are going to be printed. Okay, but as I told you, the tuples are immutable. Okay, if you try to modify one of the elements of a tuple, you get it an error. So here what I am trying to do is, at the index value 0, here, at the index value 0, there is an element present A. I want to change it. I want to change it to capital A. So let me see. So here you can say that the tuple object does not support item assignment. It will not allow you to change the element. You cannot modify the element of a tuple, but you can replace the one tuple with another. So that is possible. You can replace. Okay. So this is how you replace an element of a tuple with another tuple. This is possible. You can modify, but you cannot directly assign a value or an element to the tuple, which is not possible. You cannot change it, but you can. Okay, now let me print it once again. Okay, what I will do is, now you can see the first element, which was a small a, is now getting replaced by capital A. So if you try to modify one of the element of a tuple, you get an error. But you cannot modify the element of a tuple, but you can replace one tuple with another tuple. Okay, that is possible. Okay, directly you cannot assign, but you can replace one tuple with another tuple, that is there. So you can modify it. To modify, you have this particular method of modification. So here you can see that a tuple is a collection of elements, same as a list. It can be of any type. Okay, you can access the individual elements using the index value, and tuples are immutable, and tuples cannot be modified. All the operators which work on list uh, are also applicable on tuples. Okay, so hope this presentation made you understand on the simple concept of tuples. Thank you.